Hey there Chumbas, and welcome back to the series of the best modded character builds for Skyrim, complex and powerful yet explained simply. Using nextgen mods as an incredible theory crafting base, and now with badass Arcanum spell pack on top, every build is not just unique, but both highly competitive and fitting certain role-playing playstyle, providing incredibly strong power gaming and fun gameplay in general. Today we will take a look on one of the classic archetypes, the Paladin, yet in a brand new reshaped form. This build not only provides the most incredibly survivability due to insanely huge the health pool and the passive regeneration, both so huge that you mostly will not need a healing potions to begin with, and even if somehow your character will come to a verge of death, he will literally have 3 lives instead of 1. It also has several distinct playstyles in one, a shield tank with yet bringing a devastating power attack with a mace, a caster using reverse restoration magic to shoot enemies no worse than a destruction mage, both single targets and whole groups of bastards, and several other unique abilities building a never else seen paladin skill set. Meet the Godhand. Race: Briton. Any tank's worst enemy is a preparate mage. The Godhand doesn't quite shine in movement speed or spells, and to achieve its impossible survivability, you will not invest too much in magicka or stamina. Here, the Briton race compensates both of these drawbacks. The spell mantle gives you good magic resistance bonus and spell absorption, while Grail of Bethany greatly increases regeneration of both magicka and stamina. And of course, the Stones of Gallant bonus is also really pleasant. Lastly, Briton is ultimately the most lore-fitting race for a paladin, so you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. Standing Stone, Warrior. Godhand melee combat is power attacks based, so warriors' 15% bonus to their damage fits really well. Yet it is also doubled up to 30% bonus on practice thanks to Briton's Stones of Gallant passive. But most importantly, this stone ultimate ability allows you to swap the percentage of your health and stamina and fortifying them on amount swapped. When you're near death, using this ability will basically give you a second life, double your health and stamina pool for duration of the power. Attributes: invest around 60% to health and then 20% to magicka and 20% to stamina, with occasional extra points into magicka or stamina as you wish. The health pool is the core of this build, yet the Godhand also needs at least moderate stamina and magicka pool to maintain the steady damage. The Deity, Arche. Both roleplay and power gaming wise, Arche is the perfect choice for this build. Its ultimate Arcane Cycle Devotion ability is yet another Trick Death ultimate ability, giving you already the 3rd life in combat. Yet the core of this build is the passive Chalice of Life ability, which regenerates your health the lower it is, up to 5% of max health per second. Due to synergy of perks, spells, abilities and gear, Godhand has absolutely illegal health pool, which means that numerically the passive regeneration itself will be so high that in most of cases most of enemies simply will not be able to outdamage it. Perks. Godhand relies on 5 main perk trees to bring his Divine Punishment, where there are 3 core and 2 secondary ones. Let's take a look on them. Starting from the first levels, you may want to invest either into heavy armor and one-handed or restoration. What and how, see below. Heavy armor, one of the core perk trees which, thanks to Ordinator pure art of perks building, brings a true feeling you're wearing a heavy armor, providing not only exceptional protective bonuses, but also fun combat mechanics and even synergy for increased damage in the midst of a battle. In this tree it's very simple, you need to take almost all perks aside from this: Rallying Standard, Warbringer, Doombringer, Lead the Tempest and Primal Fear. Cushioned and Face of Death are sort of cosmetic perks, so taking them or no is totally up to you. Every other perk is for you to grab, as whole heavy armor tree plays a great role in building that impregnable knight, almost invincible to both physical and elemental damage. Godhand is capable on both melee combat and damaging restoration magic playstyles, so if you prefer the melee combat, heavy armor perks is for you to learn from the very beginning together with the one-handed. If you are more of a magic person, then start taking heavy armor perks after you will get all the core from restoration, somewhere somewhere after level 20 or so. One-handed, a core tree for the melee combat where Godhand specializes on devastating, often one-shotting mace power attacks. Here take 2 left small branches, aside from Rogue's Parry of course, and the mace, middle branch for weapon specialization. The mace branch brings both huge damage output from power attacks due to Smite, which deals even more damage to undead, Toll the Bell and Meteor Storm perks. Deft in Blows increases damage even further by ignoring part of enemy armor, and Skullcrack is a much needed perk to fight enemy mages in melee combat. Similar to the heavy armor tree, start taking one-handed perks together with heavy armor perks from the beginning if you prefer melee combat, and after level 20 if you prefer restoration damage. Restoration, a core tree if you prefer magic damage to melee combat in general and want a sort of more safe play in early game. It is also what makes this build so unique and ties all other perks, devotion abilities and spells of the build together. In Restoration you will need to take all perks besides just 2 branches, the Vigilant branch, a second vertical branch to the left and the small Necromanticon branch, and the 3 perks to the right, Wheel of Life, Enduring Ideal and Sacred Guardian. The rest of the perks, hoard them all. In Restoration you will need 5 branches learned. Let's have a few words on each of them from left to right. The False Light branch gives you a better healing in the beginning, and then it is all about you can use restoration spells to damage enemies with a certain damage penalty, which though can be negated in the end. Warrior's Flame branch is basically an automatic homing sparkle of holy light which jumps between you and enemies every few seconds, healing and buffing you while debuffing and damaging enemies. The ultimate perk in branch also allows you to cast it on everyone around, while thanks to gear you'll be able to bypass this single usage per day limitation, explained further. The Exorcist branch is all about additional anti-undead effects and new thematic spells. The Overflowing Cup perk buffs you when you're overhealing yourself, and Under My Wings spreads this effect on allies in 20-meter radius. Wait a second, you may ask, that's not a follower or a summoner build, why the allied perk then? Now let's look back into the False Light branch, Light Wielder perk. Yep, that's exactly what you think. Basically, you can now damage and kill whole groups of enemies when dual casting self-healing spell. Let's say you healed yourself for 500 health. Bam! All enemies in 20 meters radius are damaged on the same amount. Not bad, right? Finally, the Pilgrim branch. First perk allows you to find 2 spirit tutors in the game world, which will permanently increase your restoration healing, and so damage as well. And the next 2 perks greatly increase the strength and duration of Shrine Blessings. Block, secondary tree for better general survivability on top of the build core, as well as crowd control in melee combat, explained later in the video, and more dynamic combat in general. Take these perks: Block Mastery, Quick Reflexes, Deflect Arrows, Dominion, Time Block, and Block Runner. No need to deeper investing into this tree, as the named perks only are already enough to give great protective bonuses and utility in combat, while complete focusing on this tree is not actually needed, as the Godhand is not purely block-oriented build. These perks should be not learned in early game, take them somewhere after level 40. Enchanting, secondary branch which though heavily contributes to every aspect of the build, including the improvement of existing abilities and usage of new ones. Here, simply get the whole branch which improves enchantments themselves to gain maximum profit from this process. Start taking these perks somewhere after level 40 as well, together with the block perks in any order you see fitting. Spells and enchantments. Enchantments first. Boots, bonus to stamina and chance to restore attributes per second. Armors, bonus to health and stamina. Gauntlets, bonus to one-handed and bashing damage. Helmet, bonus to magicka and decrease of restoration spell cost. Shield, bonus to health and decrease damage while blocking. Necklace, bonus to health and chance to stagger enemies on block. Rings, bonus to health and magic resistance on both. Weapon, it is recommended to use Ordinator's Master Enchanting perk, which allows you to place 3 enchantments on an item once, exactly on the weapon. Enchantments are Absorb Health on hit, Absorb Armor on hit, and Chance to release currently equipped power on hit. First of all, enchantments are focused on greatly increasing Godhand's max health. Secondly, increasing both stamina and magicka, as well as decreasing restoration cost to allow you to handle good amount of power attacks and cast master restoration spells without investing a lot of attribute points into these 2 attributes. Lastly, it further increases damage and magic resistance as well as gives you new abilities to synergize with the build core. You can mass stagger enemies with your blocks, while weapon enchantments add on top of perks for armor shredding attacks, sustain your health, and most importantly, allows you to automatically cast Warrior's Flame on everyone around once per few hits, bypassing the initial power limit, adding to both your healing and damaging debuffing enemies' abilities. Godhand has a diverse arsenal of restoration spells, where directly healing ones can be used as a tool of destruction at the same time, and utility spells being both epic looking and epic functioning to sustain your incredible survivability and damage output. Let's take a look at some of them. First of all, the main 3 buffs to use with Apocalypse Occult Recital spell. 3 rings is additional max health for a period of time, meaning your passive healing will also become stronger due to bigger max health. King's Heart is a great supporting spell which is basically a beacon of light which follows you and heals you. Redeemer's Shield is the most shining buff here. It gives you huge magic resistance and armor bonuses, but initially lasts only for 2 hits, yet the thing is, it also lasts 1 additional hit for each 100 total HP you have, with Godhand having around 1500 health regularly and sometimes peaking over 3000 health up to 4000 health. This shield can provide a protection from 17 to almost 40 hits, which is absolutely top notch. Also, if it doesn't expire from damage, it then explodes, damaging enemies around. Know that if you're using Odin instead of Apocalypse, you can memorize only one of those spells and so cast other 2 yourself before the fight. The first 2 buffs are from Apocalypse spell pack and the Redeemer's Shield is from Arcanum. Other most important spells worth to mention are Sutra of Perseverance, both life-saving and damage booster at the same time from the Arcanum spell pack. Cast it before or during the tough fights. Then, if you will fall below 1/4 of your health, not only you will be instantly healed for a decent amount, but also your restoration spells receive a huge bonus to healing for a few seconds, which also means you will be able to destroy the enemy with doubled restoration spell power. Heal other spell, which costs less than 20 magicka with this build and which you can spam kinda like a Holy Fire Blasts, can do up to 700 damage per cast with this buff on. Supreme Verdict from Arcanum as well is dealing a massive holy damage in a huge radius, followed by a massive buff to your damage and regeneration. Exalted Armament from Arcanum works similar to Redeemer's Shield. It is a hard to trigger in the midst of a fight, so better to cast it as a preparation before a tough fight when you're ready for it. Cast it before the fight, wait a few seconds and enter the combat. In this way, it will proc right when you will reach your target usually, giving you a furious over 700 bonus to melee attacks in form of a flying holy swords, as well as general melee damage boost. With the capabilities of the whole build itself and Supreme Verdict on top and this spell, your sprinting forward melee power attacks can do up to crazy 4000 damage in total per single sprinting power attack. And the regular power attacks can easily do around 1600 damage. Paragon of Justice is a great combat support spell in overall, be it a boss fight or a regular bandit brawl. The spirit of a crusader follows you and demolishes enemies with devastating two-handed attacks. There are a few other spells which function quite straightforward and do not need a separate presentation, but are worthy to mention to be a part of the Godhand arsenal. These spells are Celestial Purge, Dust to Dust, Resplendence, and Resurgence. Conclusion, playstyle, and gameplay demonstration. Godhand is a versatile class which possesses the highest survivability possible between all character builds ever, being literally unkillable by no physical or magical means due to huge resistance to all types of damage, rapid regeneration and literal extra lives in combat. Yet it by any means does not lack in damage and can switch between two playstyles, a melee tank with devastating power attacks and stagger crowd control, or a holy mage able to quickly destroy both single targets and multiple enemies. From groups of bandits to master vampires and elder dragons, Godhand can take it all proudly without showing its back, and then obliterate the enemy with a righteous wrath of holy blade and magic. In addition, it has access to a wide arsenal of supportive spells, which have an epic look on top. Godhand is a perfect class for those who want a safe gameplay and roleplay a classic Paladin archetype, yet to bring a brand new layer of gameplay diversity to it. With no more words, take a look on its combat capabilities again. Needless to mention that all enemies in my game, be it bandits or dragons, are heavily empowered by multiple enemy mods, being many times harder threat than in vanilla. That's it for this build, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop your own thoughts about it, as well as suggestions for the character builds you want to see next. Don't forget to enable channel notifications and join our Discord to always stay in touch. Stay tuned, stay healthy and stay happy. Scimitar Gaming here, signing out.